Hello, in this video I wanted to cover our new Shipyard Fleet Run API inside of Shipyard, which allows you to send parameters for variables inside of our blueprints, which would be super helpful to allow you to just create one fleet and then be able to run it with different variables every single time. So I want to do that with one of our most popular use cases here at Shipyard, which is sending a Snowflake query as a CSV to someone using email. So jumping into this, so we do have a write-up for this as well. So if you want to do that, that'll be linked in the description as well. So if you want to read through this versus watching the video, you can do that. So let's jump in here and look and see what we need to do. So the first thing we need to do is create like what I'm calling a template fleet. So this is a fleet that we'll have the base set for it that we can then send variables through using the API. So to do that, we're going to use our two blueprints. So one of our blueprints for Snowflake, which is to download or store query results as a CSV, and then for email to send message with a file. So for the Snowflake, so you want to go ahead and fill in your username, password, and account name. So those things are probably not going to change. And then the rest of this information, you can see I have some data in here. It doesn't have to be. You can have it set to dummy data. You can have it set to nothing if you wanted to. But I just have some dummy data in here. So like this would run on its own if I didn't send variables in. So it's up to you how you want to set that up. And then there's what that file name will be whenever we run this. And then the second vessel that we want to set up is our email vessel. So you can see that we want to go ahead and put our credentials in for that as well: the host, the port, username, and password. You can see too, I'm just template at shipyardapp.com because I'm going to change that at runtime. As well as the file name down here, template.csv. That's what I'm going to change at runtime as well. So with that in mind, so that's what we need to have for our template set up here. And what we're going to do now is let me save this fleet real quick. And then so if you're trying to replicate this process on your side, and your setup's not exactly the same as mine, what you're going to do now is you're going to come into the YAML editor, and you kind of want to take a look and see at these variable names here. So you can see Snowflake account, Snowflake database, destination file name, so on and so forth there. So any of these variables that you want to change at runtime, you want to make sure you grab those variable names and you want to take a note of them so that you can have them to send into your send to the API. And the same thing for the email. We have those variable names here. So just take note of the things that you want to change. And so I have done that. So I'm going to switch over into Hex and just show off some Python code. You can run this locally on your own machine. You can run this in whatever code environment that you want to run it in. I like running it in Hex for just running some base Python code. So switching over into that, you can see, so for the way that we have this set up, and we have this in our documentation, which I'll also link in the description below, you can see that we have the name of our vessel, which is download Snowflake query, and then we have this environment variable overrides. And you can see what I want to override is the Snowflake destination file name. So that's what that CSV is going to be named whenever it's generated from the query, as well as the query there. And you can see I have this on a multi-line string here just to make it so it formats a little bit prettier for Snowflake. So you can see what I'm sending. I'm going to change the name to large_manu4.csv because I'm filtering by manufacturer for and choosing the biggest size that's in this data. And then the Snowflake query there. So that's going to change those two values at runtime for us. And then the same thing in our email vessel. You can see that I want to change the name of the file that I'm sending to that new name that I put up here. And then I want to change that email to my email so it's going to get sent to me versus being sent to that template at shipyardapp.com. So those are the four variables that we're going to change at runtime. So that's good. So we saved that as a JSON data variable name there. And then we come down here to how we're going to send this data to the API. So we need to import request. We need our headers here. Have my API key hidden behind an environment variable. So this is here. So this is all just basically copied and pasted from my documentation. And then again, we want to send this to this API endpoint. You'll need to know your organizational ID, your project ID, and then your fleet ID over here. You'll need to input those in on your own. Have your headers set and your JSON data being called there as well to send. And that's all you need to do to change those at runtime and send them over. So I'm going to go ahead and run these code blocks here. So I run that. You can see down here in response.txt that you can see all the information from the run that just happened. So now I can pop back into Shipyard and go to the logs of this. And if I refresh this page, we should be able to see that new run that should have just started. So as this loads up just for a second. So there we go. You can see I accidentally ran it twice, but that's okay. So I'm going to click on this first one. So you can see that Snowflake query is currently downloading here. And so they just finished up. And you can see up here on the top that we do have the API trigger up there. So it's actually telling you, hey, this request and this fleet run came from the API versus being triggered by, the scheduling trigger or just by clicking the on-demand run now button up there in the top right-hand corner. And for those of you that are new to our platform, I like to show off, if you click inside of these boxes here, it's going to show you the vessel log here. So you can see the query that it was changed to there, that we set it to at runtime. You can see that it successfully stored the query results as large menu 4.csv, and you can even see there's what it was set to, tempo.csv, and then it changed the environment variable down here to the large menu 4.csv there. So it made those changes at runtime for us. Let me back out here. So you can see that data should be emailed, so I should be able to pop over to my email, and you can see we have large menu underscore 4.csv, and you can see there is the data that got sent over from that API call over to the Shipyard for that Fleet Run API. In this video, we covered how you can use our new Fleet Run API call to send variables at runtime to our native blueprints inside of Shipyard. If you have any ideas on how you can use this in one of your use cases and would like to get some help, feel free to use the link in the comments below to schedule some time with one of our data experts to use our new Fleet Run API inside of one of your own workflows.